Hello and welcome to MRS. Welcome to Men's Radio. Is it too late to say Happy New Year? It does kind of feel like it, doesn't it? I'm Neil Long, and welcome to the brand new Look Wednesday show, where it's going to be just me, me and guests. Russ, the crazy misguided fool, has allowed me to do this on Wednesdays by myself. As you can see, there's still Christmas decorations in the background, so I don't know if that means bad luck for 7 years. Probably just means that I'm lazy, but I like twinkly things, so they're going to stay for a while. I can even turn them on if you like. I don't mind. But welcome. Let's get some of your comments. Let's say hi. Who have we got watching? Let's flick over the comments. Oh, here comes one. Robert Van Buren. I know he's been going through a few challenges. Robert, we hope you're feeling better. Feel free to post in the comments how you're doing. I will not share anything unless you post it in the comments, which I will take as permission to do so. If you want to keep it private, just text or WhatsApp me, and I won't say a word. Who else have we got tuning in? Say hi. Let's get involved. Welcome to Wednesday. Two fantastic guests coming up for you today, both with incredible mental health angles. One, a doctor, nutritionist. We're going to be talking about the link between nutrition and mental health, which is very real because a lot of thought now says that all our health, physical and mental, begins in the gut. There's terms like microbiome, the gut microbiome, which is the bacteria flora in our gut. Apparently, and I shall ask Dr. Jenna this, we are actually more bacteria than human. And some days that feels more real than others, depending on how much I've drunk the night before. Robert, I'm assuming this is okay to post because you put it in comments. Had a catheter removed yesterday, so promising. That's good news. And keep us up to date. And all of us here at Men's Radio MRS wish you well. Also talking to an author, brand new author. He's been writing for a while, and he will come on your radar before very long. Who's written several wonderful pieces and just had his first book published in storybook form, in audiobook form on a progressive rock radio station. So we'll learn more about that later on, and we get some of the mental health angles of writing as well, because it's been used as a mental health tool for a very long time. Bibliography, I do believe they call it, from the mental health point of view. Now, this show, I want to also I've got some great guests lined up for you. I've been booking them over the last couple of days. Anything you want to talk about, any subjects you want to do a deep dive into, let me know. I'll be absolutely delighted to do it. Just get in touch with me. DJ Neil Long, Neil Long DJ on Facebook. And you can get in touch with me that way. Hello, Liz. Good to have you tuned in. And so deep dive subject and really anything else that you want to talk about. What I want to be doing is a lot of mental health techniques, so we can learn together in group, if you like, almost how to not only tune into our mental health, but indeed maintain it. And that's the important thing, is tuning into it and maintaining it. And, all kinds of wonderful things like what to do in stressful situations and all that sort of thing, how to manage stress, the importance. I was on a call last night about this, learning quite a lot about this at the moment, of the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the opposite of the stress response. It's the opposite of fight or flight. It's the rest and digest system. I mean, us human beings, the teacher on the call last night, and I would probably concur, says we spend about 99%, 98% of the time in the sympathetic nervous system, but it really is meant only for short-term blasts to get us out of danger. We're not meant to be in it chronically, and if we are, and a lot of us are, it causes an awful lot of problems. But all the healing we seek, all the well-being, that lives in the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's how to tune into that on demand. But without further ado, so lots to look forward to. A couple more hellos to do. Francine Warner, hello to you, with your lips and your hearts and your coffees. Love it. But let's bring our first guest on, Dr. Jenna Macchiocchi. I've been through my mind, Dr. Jenna, all morning, and I knew I was going to get it wrong.
So don't worry. It's Macchiocchi.
Dr. Jenna Macchiocchi.
Brilliant.
There you go. Got it straight away. Hello, Dr. Jenna. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
What part of town or country are you in? Where are you?
I'm in London right now, but I live in Brighton on the south coast.
Or London on Sea, as
yeah.
It must be a fun place to live. It's a vibrant place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. I wouldn't live anywhere else now. I feel very rooted there. It's a lovely community.
I've heard that. I've heard it's a wonderful community. I went down there to the Fringe Festival last year. Did a stand-up gig down there, which was good fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I
And I
love the
can't remember
Fringe.
for the life of me what pub I did it in, because there's so many pubs.
Yes.
I was saying just before you came on that because we're going to talk about mental health and nutrition an awful lot. Because I've had a look at your website, and this is what you do. Just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do and what your vibe is. Your vibe when you try.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm an immunologist, which is somebody who studies everything about the immune system. So I'm really fascinated by the immune system, and I love to educate people about it because I think it's something we probably think of more in winter when we get those familiar symptoms of the cough or cold. But actually, I think it's really important all year round, and I'm really like motivated to help people try and take care of their immune system.
Because it's always working for us, isn't it?
Yeah,
Under the radar,
exactly.
literally every day, if my understanding is correct, cells that could become cancerous are being destroyed and removed. It's all under the radar of the immune system, keeping our viral load low, I would assume. And just so what goes wrong? Educate us a little if you can.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of information about what we can do to support our immune system in winter, but I think a lot of people are not actually aware of where to start. And in fact, some of this research by Actimel has shown that like a third of people do report feeling more poorly in winter, but they're not sure what to do in terms of looking after their immune system. So I'm always
A
about the
lot of
easy
people. I
wins.
mean, 1 in 3. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really keeping it simple. It's still winter, it's early January. We don't want to be doing really huge overhauls to our daily routine. It's about those small, easy wins. So the first thing that I think a lot of people are unaware of is their vitamin D levels. Now, vitamin D is an essential vitamin that we usually get from the sun during the summer. And so that's how we can keep our levels topped up. But in winter, when we go into winter, the days get shorter and there just isn't enough daylight. So we do have to be making sure and being mindful that we're getting vitamin D through our diet. And there's not so many dietary sources. So looking for things that are fortified with vitamin D, things like Actimel Plus, it's an easy way to get the adequate daily dose in that you need to have a well-functioning immune system.
And the immune system depends on vitamin D, does it?
It's one of the key nutrients for a proper functioning immune system.
Okay. I'm sure we'll cover them all during our chat here. Would winter sun be as good as summer sun? If I were to go outside and get lit for 10 minutes, would that be good or not?
I think there's a lot to be said for winter sun in terms of just improving our mood, getting a bit of physical activity. But in terms of getting a vitamin D, unfortunately, the vitamin D, the sun just isn't strong enough in winter to be able to get enough what we need.
And we need quite a high dose, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, you can find a lot of information on the NHS website about the different daily intakes that you should look for, depending on whether you're a child or an adult, and different ages. And also the Public Health England will have a lot of messaging as well if people are unsure.
And what else do we need for a good immune system? Vitamin D being one component. What else?
Yep. A healthy, balanced diet. All the Christmas indulgences are over. So trying to, we're not talking about overhauling your diet, going on some crazy detox. It is still winter. Lots of lovely, nourishing seasonal foods. I think it's really important that, nature's giving us a sign that, they push all their nutrients into the roots. And so we can make all these lovely, hearty, delicious, warming meals in winter. So I think that's really, really important as well. Physical activity is very important for your immune system. So even though it's dark, it's cold, the weather could be a bit grey and moody, trying to get outside when you can, finding using physical activity as a way to connect with friends, going for a walk. It doesn't have to be in the gym. It doesn't have to be really punishing, to just be sprinkling that through your week to make sure you're getting up and getting active.
Well, they say 30 minutes 5 times a week. That's the common wisdom, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think what's often missed is that we should be doing some muscle strengthening exercises as well. So whereas the cardiovascular exercise is great, walking, running, cycling, do have to be doing something where we're getting that resistance on our muscles too.
I keep hearing this, and I keep thinking, right, I must do that. I must do this. It's just a question of doing it. This is nothing that we haven't heard before, isn't it? And it's all very
Yeah.
doable. And now there's really no excuse, because more and more science is backing this up day by day by day, and we kind of ignore it at our peril, I suppose. And anything else? Any other components? Is it just all simple stuff like
Yeah,
this?
I mean, I think, at this time of year when it is bleak, some of the survey results shared a lot of what people do to perk up their January, and booking a holiday is really popular. So I just
Mm.
think having those nice things to look forward to, that can be something that helps us feel good at this time of year.
Yes, I noticed there was 3 particular days this time of year. You know, we have a day for everything, and there was get on the dating sites day. There was divorce day, which was ironic. That wasn't lost on me, and booking a holiday day
Oh, I
as
did
well.
not know any of those.
No, they are, and they're all days that fall, funnily enough, in early January.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's either start or end a relationship, or book a holiday, or maybe do it,
Yeah,
do
maybe
it
all
all,
three happened in once.
or maybe, who knows? That'll
Yeah,
be yes, and
it's a wild
lots of people doing
January.
dry January as well.
Yeah, and I think
What
that's.
about alcohol? Does that affect our immune system?
I don't want to be the deliverer of bad news, but sadly,
Please.
there aren't any known benefits from drinking alcohol for the immune system. Let's put it that way. I know there's
No,
been
nobody
studies
ever
around.
died through lack of Fosters, did they?
There are studies around red wine, but I think the actual, these plant nutrient compounds that are in red wine, you'd have to be drinking gallons to get enough.
Which
Probably just best looking for your
is it
diet.
resveratrol that's in red wine?
Yeah, resveratrol, but I think objectively speaking, red wine shouldn't be our go-to if we want to get that.
Fair enough. Well, that's the end of the interview. Thanks a lot. No, not really. So you're an immunologist. How did this all start for you? Why this fascination with the immune system? Where did it all start for you?
Just as a child, I had a real keen interest in the human body and health and disease. I really wanted to understand what keeps us well and why sometimes the body goes wrong and we get ill. And yeah, some not very good career advice. I found the path to immunology, and I've just been fascinated by the subject ever since. There's always lots more to learn, and I love, sharing the knowledge.
Mm. Something that's come on my radar fairly recently is this idea of a gut microbiome. And the strap line, or the common party line, seems to be that all health and wellness, including mental wellness, begins in the gut. Is that, would you concur with that?
I feel like, there's probably scientific evidence to link, numerous conditions to the gut biome. It's been a real explosion of research in the last sort of 5 to 10 years. And I think we're only going to start to learn more about how we can make our gut microbiome work better for our health, and what are some of the reasons why it might be going wrong. But yes, you're right, it's a really, really interesting area, and a lot of our immune system is in the gut, so there's a real close communication between the gut biome and how well your immune system's working.
Because they talk about the gut brain, don't they? Gut brain, heart brain. We've got several brains apparently.
Yeah, the gut brain axis. So there's a communication between what's going on in your gut and the other parts of your body, and this
And
is
it's a two-way
definitely true.
communication as well, isn't it? It's a back and forth. It's not just one way. It's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
interactive, holistic,
Little-
interconnected. Now, got a question here from one of our regular listeners, Fat Scotty. That's what he calls himself. He doesn't consider it rude. Hello, Fat Scotty. Good to have you tuned in. Happy New Year, buddy. Dr. Jenner, there's a lot said about fad diets, particularly this time of year. What is your view, stroke advice, given that these omit vital nutrients but do cause crash weight loss? I think I know what you're going to say here, but I'll let you
Yeah.
answer.
I mean, I think at this time of year, there will be a lot of people that will go on really extreme diets with the main objective of losing weight. And I think we have to remember that losing weight on a specific diet is not going to be the same as a diet that's good for your health and giving you the essential nutrients. And what we do find with crash diets, most of the research says that people will regain the weight and sometimes regain even more. So what we are seeing coming through breakthrough is that more sustainable dietary changes, which may mean that it takes longer to lose weight, are better in the long run, because then you are still getting that healthy diet pattern with all the key nutrients in it, and you are getting the weight loss, but it's just over a longer time. And then hopefully you develop really strong habits that you continue to stay at
But
a healthy
I think
weight.
you've hit the buzzword sustainable, because we hear about all these celebrity fad diets, the latest Hollywood celebrities on the, I don't know, keto or caveman or whatever it is for that week,
Yeah.
for that day, for that hour. And yeah, there will be rapid weight loss, but it's the it's the maintaining it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And perhaps we should make a distinction between diets and lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Diet in the sense of crash diet, too
Yeah.
radical, too fast, not particularly good for your body, but a lifestyle change. And you also said healthy habits. And once we're making these little changes, maybe fairly slowly, but we're more likely to stick to them if they're simple and doable, rather than this extreme sort of do it all at once and then binge afterwards, binge on the 1st of February,
Exactly. And I think, we do want the quick fixes, but it's really important to keep the bigger picture in mind and
Very
find
much so.
other ways to monitor your progress. And the simple things about, you might feel better, you might not have lost any weight, but you're eating better. And so you start to have more energy, and then that will have a trickle down effect on all the other areas of your life. So yeah, stick with it and don't do anything too extreme.
I've been looking at your website, which is a great website, by the way. I mean, you do a lot: products, services, education, recipes and rituals. You've even got a shop, and of course a contact on there. But I was looking at wellness trends. Do you want to talk us through some of these? Because we're going to come across these. They're going to end up in the tabloids, aren't they? And we'll all think, oh, is this just the next bit of Hollywood inspired nonsense, or is there something in this?
Yeah, so I did this at the end of the year as a little bit of fun, because I think wellness is more than trends, and anyone who's sort of been following along will know that I'm not just about trends, but it was a little bit of playful fun, and I actually tried to pick some trends that I felt would sort of stick around. So things like I think hybrid training, which is combining cardio with lifting weights and doing resistance exercise, as we've just been speaking about. So hopefully that becomes something that's more trending and sticks around.
Let's have a look at some of these. I'm looking at your website as we speak here. I like this: increasing your energy IQ. Move over glucose monitors, make room for the spotlight. Again, sustained, natural sustained energy, which has got to be, because I heard before when I was studying bits of this, that a lot of us are on a blood sugar roller coaster day by day. And I also understood that if we have a spike in blood sugar, insulin is pumped into the body, and insulin is a fat storing hormone. So if you're on blood sugar spikes, it's very hard to lose weight. Is that correct?
Yes, there's some truth to that. I think the blood sugar monitoring has become really popular, but there's a much simpler way to manage your blood sugar without having to buy an expensive monitor. So just 15 minutes walking after your meal, for example, will really help control and stabilize your blood sugar.
And that's free as well.
Yeah.
It seems that the best things are free or very, very cheap and very, very simple. I think that's the yardstick. The more complicated or the more expensive, the more faddy it is. It's not a reasonably fair generalization, isn't it?
I think sometimes we're attracted to the fancy stuff, aren't we? And also, if we're paying lots of money, it feels more.
Well, of course, if Paris Hilton's doing it, we all should be, shouldn't we? What's a nootropic? I've heard the term. Can you explain what a nootropic is?
This is a new term that's come out, which is just really thinking about any nutrient that has evidence of supporting our cognition and our brain health, our ability to focus.
So it's not necessarily a drug?
No, although there are drugs which probably have nootropic effects, but
for some reason I associated the term nootropic with kind of psychological drugs. So that's wrong, is it?
I think the term itself is a bit new and it's a bit woolly. So I think if you're talking strictly in the scientific literature, what evidence we have, you could probably find both drugs and certain nutrients in food as being considered to be nootropic, depending on the effects that they give.
Hydration. I'm looking at this. I've heard this as well. Over 90% of people in the UK say they experience symptoms of dehydration. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if we're busy rushing around, if your job involves lots of talking, you're losing liquid that way, or drinking a lot of caffeine. So there's numerous ways that we could end up dehydrated, or of course alcohol. So I think just it's a simple thing. Again, going back to what we were saying earlier about simple ways to take care of
Mm.
our health, just making sure that you stay hydrated.
And there's things I wouldn't have thought of here, like noise pollution. It's a pain in the backside, but um, is having a growing impact on our health. The WHO, World Health Organization, says 1 million healthy life years are lost in Western European countries because of environmental noise. Goodness me.
Ye Yeah, I know. So things that we don't even realize, especially if you live in a city, you sort of just become accustomed to a constant level of noise. But
Well,
yeah,
no,
there
no,
is.
the time I notice is when I go somewhere out of a city into a rural place, and I notice the roar of silence, if you know what I mean. The
Yes, yeah,
silence is so loud, and
deafening.
the silence literally is deafening, and it's incredible.
Mhm.
Um, Disconnecting from technology, I notice that comes up quite a lot with people in your circles. Just I know of a lady that wrote a book, How to Break Up with Your iPhone.
Oh, it sounds like it's a very important book.
Yeah,
Mhm.
gut health is here. Fasting. Talk to us a little about fasting. Is that good for our immune system? Well, obviously.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misinformation about fasting. I think there's more and more evidence coming out, but it's not that kind of one size fits all that we could roll out to the general population.
Okay. I have heard that some fasting can be very. It's got to be done right. I take it then. It's consult your practitioner before you decide to go on a fast.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and this really interested me because half of the audience here are women, by the way, at MRS. Interestingly, Femtech, female technology, digital solutions to advance women's health, safety, and empowerment. Um, range from menstrual tracking apps and fertility monitors to AI wearables and gynecological cancer detection tools. I'd never heard of any of this. This is Star Trek stuff almost, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I guess there's a lot of discussion around AI and how that could be used in a way in medicine to help with, particularly with areas like women's health, which traditionally haven't maybe had enough attention, or
Mm.
there's a risk of things being missed. So yeah, there's definitely a growing area that we're going to see coming through more and more.
Indeed, and there's it's interesting about. I saw a very funny meme the other day because I think AI. There was the whole hoo-ha with the actors and the performers in Hollywood. We don't want to be replaced by AI, and I can completely understand that. I would fully agree with that. But it was a funny meme. It said, why does all AI have to be script writers? Why can't it clear plastic from the ocean?" Which is funny, but it's there's so much good that can be done with it. This is the point, isn't it? And you think we're going to be seeing. I mean, it's like with any technology, in the right hands for the right purpose, it can do
Mm,
incredible things. This is leading
yeah,
edge technology, and it can be absolutely fantastic. It's not all about writing Hollywood scripts and putting actors out of work,
exactly.
obviously. So, well, I'm mindful of your time. So, some takeaways we can take that just immediately will get us on the right track.
Yeah, so anyone listening, if they are feeling the January blues, I would say, adapt your diet for winter. 24% of people in the Actimel survey say they weren't eating a balanced diet, so there's definitely some room for improvement there. Don't just rely on the sunshine for your vitamin D. It's a really important nutrient for supporting proper immune function. So changing up your dietary
Mhm.
habits to make sure you're including something with vitamin D inside, and embrace the winter weather. Just get out and try and enjoy it, instead of
I'm
resisting.
thinking skiing holidays. That's the most joyful image I can come up with winter.
Yeah,
Lovely
definitely.
ski down. Not that I've ever been skiing, but something like that with a lovely mountain range in the background or something like that.
Yeah, beautiful
Um,
vista.
the nervous systems, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Is there a because I was on a call last night and the teacher on the call was saying this before you came on, that most of the majority of the population, about 98-99%, spend most of the time in the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight, which we need. We can't be without it, but it's only meant for very short bursts. Get
Mhm.
chased by a saber-toothed tiger, run away. modern day tax demand, I don't know, whatever, but we're spending too much time in it. And the guy was saying we need to learn how to trigger ourselves into the parasympathetic, where all the healing and all that sort of stuff lies. Connection with the immune system, would you say?
Yeah,
'Cause I would
definitely.
guess definitely so.
I would say your immune system's not going to be happy if your nervous system's out of balance. And there's a lot to be said that modern life puts us more in that sympathetic state, and we kind of have to work hard to rebalance with the parasympathetic side. So it's definitely something to be mindful of.
If not one of the most important
Yeah,
things.
I
And
agree.
any tips you have to do that? Meditation, does that come into this at all?
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is there's the things that you might have to learn. So meditation can be quite hard to just start doing. And then there's just simple things you can do in the moment. If you find yourself stressed in the moment, you take yourself away from your desk, actually go for a walk and look far away. So your eyes kind of relax, sends a signal to your brain that you're safe, and you can feel calm. And then just some deep breathing. Our breath we do automatically, but we can harness the breath and taking some long, slow, deep breaths, extending that exhale. That is having an input into your nervous system to switch to more
Because
parasympathetic state.
the breath is so important, isn't it?
Hmm.
And I see so many people sort of breathe like this, sort of breathe from their
Yeah,
shoulders, and
yeah.
that's the worst. That's the worst way. Apparently, the higher up you breathe, the more unhealthy you are.
Yeah, that would be
Pretty much, some
yeah.
people breathe from their neck, and they need to sort themselves out really quickly. And the next worst one down is the shoulders. But
Yeah.
isn't it a strange thing, though, that the most simple things that human beings have been doing since we've been on this planet, however many zillions of years, the simple things like breathing and eating,
Hmm.
there seems to be a lot of confusion about how to do it properly.
Yeah, we've managed to make them really complicated. The simple fundamentals.
I know. What's next for you? What's the dream for 2024? What's next for Dr. Jenna?
Yeah, I always love connecting with people, love doing events, and any opportunity to come and chat about the immune system and all its amazing functions. So yeah, just going to see what arises really.
Any events coming up that you'd like to plug?
No, not in the immediate term. Sort of just, yeah, percolating away for later in the
Well, if
year.
anyone watching would like to book Dr. Jenna, I'm sure she would be
Yep, get in touch.
more than happy to have a chat and oblige. And all kinds of things on your website, shops and courses and products, and really just a one-stop shop for all things immune system. And it's on the screen.
Brilliant.
If people would like to surf over there. Thank you so much for being on, Dr.
Oh,
Jenna.
thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Okay. Keep in touch. If you'd like to come back on, anything, you're doing, if you do a tour of events or something like that, and you'd like to come on and give it a plug, it's a really good subject, and certainly be happy to talk more about it in the future. Just
Brilliant.
hit me up on Facebook, Neil
I
Long DJ.
will. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Neil.
Thank you, Dr. Jenna. It's been lovely talking to you. Take care. Bye-bye. What a lovely lady. There we go. I told you, we've got some good guests this year. Some very, very good guests. Right, let's have a quick look at some of your comments. I'm just going to take that one off the screen and click that one. Liz says, agree, Neil. Michael Mosley talks about an 8-16. This is a fasting thing, essentially spending a smaller part of the day not eating. I'm in a regular habit of eating within a 10-hour period. Crisps are my downfall. Yes, potato crops have failed, I think, because of Liz. But I love veggies. I make a lot. That was a joke. I make a lot of stuff from scratch to eat with various meats. Chrissy Richard, hello. Hi both. Hello, Chrissy. Good to have you tuned in. I love it. All the regulars turn up. Hello there. And Kimmy Lashmar has come from pottering around in the garden. I feel great, but now I'll need to watch what I've missed, as it sounds fascinating. Well, it was all about the immune system, Kimmy. So feel free to watch on the catch up and all the websites you need. In fact, Kimmy, if you want to see who we were talking to, and I will just pop that banner up there. There we go, Kimmy. You can watch on the catch up. Let's get our next guest on, shall we? A personal friend of mine, author, DJ, done loads of stuff. Focused an awful lot on writing at the moment, and a very, very good writer. And remember where you heard this first, and what we're going to direct you to. I thoroughly recommend you have a listen to, but let's let him explain all about it. So we welcome John Patrick to the show. Hello.
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 Can you hear
Good
me?
afternoon.
Everything
Well,
fine? Yeah, you got
loud
to do
and-
that. Mate. You got to do that. Can you hear me thing?
Yes, we can. We can. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
6
So
million years, Neil. 6 million years. 6 million years we've been on this planet, not zillions.
Is it 6 million?
Yeah, I
was
know
just-
that because I had to look. The only reason why I know anything about this, right? I'm not being sort of 6 million years. The only reason why I know is because I had to look all this up for another thing that I was writing, The Last Historian, which takes place 10,000 years after mankind has gone, but he still survives. Of course, he still survives. It would be a story otherwise. There you go.
Yeah,
So that's what I know. That's why only reason why I know it's 6 million years.
Okay, 6 million years.
Yeah.
Because didn't they have to rewrite the Monty Python song, the Galaxy song? Because that quotes how long we've been on Earth, and and then some scientists said it's a very funny song, but it's actually not correct, and they had to redo it. Is that right, or is that wrong?
Yeah, something very similar, but that kind of thing happens all the time because we continuously discover new things, and that's reflected in the Elgins as well. Because there's a particular 666 is known as the number of the beast, right? As a a bit scary perhaps, but
And an Iron Maiden song.
Well, yeah. I mean, 666. It's in the Bible and all that lot. But apparently, there was an ancient rock turned up. Which means that they kind of screwed up the maths on it, and it turned out to be 616 rather than 666. But I think it's been kind of fairly ignored because, I mean, you've got to go back and change everything. I mean, Iron Maiden have got to re-record the album just for that one digit. I'm sure they can get AI to do that now. Anyway,
new song 616, the neighbour of the beast. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about your writing. I want to get a mental health angle on it, certainly, because I know bibliography is very used for helping people, process stuff and work through stuff. But writing's been a long-held, I say dream, if that's the right word, of yours for years. And you've really produced some very, very good stuff, particularly over lockdown, which I guess was an ideal opportunity. Take us through it. Tell us what you've written. Before we do, there's a link on the screen, and you can tell people what's on there. But if you type that link into your browser, just do it and listen to it, because it's worth hearing. But over to you.
Right.
Take us through your writing career thus far.
Just to explain the link down below, as a tease, I gave the lovely people at progzilla.com, and I'll explain why I put that on there a bit later. But that link will give you the first episode of the first chapter of the Elgin Marvels. There is also chapter 4 on there in its entirety, which is a bit weird, I know. But what I did was chapter 4 takes place at Christmas. So what I decided to do was see if there was any interest in this at all. And I gave it to certain people, yourself included, as an advent calendar, an audio advent calendar. So once a week, 7 weeks before Christmas, I emailed over an episode each week for 7 weeks leading up to Christmas. And then it climaxes on Christmas Day. So I just wondered if there was going to be any interest, and there was. So progzilla.com got in contact and said, do you want to put this out as a podcast for Christmas? And I went, yeah, why not? I want to see if there's any interest in this thing. And there was. So now, if you go on and see that link that was there, but there's a specials. Go on to that's the one. That's the baby you need. But if you scroll down, you'll see Elgin Marvel's Advent Special Gang of Saints, which is chapter 4 in its entirety. But part 2 of chapter 1 is going up in the next couple of days. So you can listen to that. And then if you wait a bit, you'll get chapter 2, chapter 3, and then you'll get the entire book online on there.
Because the Elgin Marvels is loosely, I should say, it's been embellished a hell of a lot, but loosely based on stuff that actually happened to you and your friends group many, many years ago. Do you want to give us the backstory of it? Because it's pretty funny.
the thing is, we were just a bunch of stupid individuals with not a care in the world. And when I mean not a care in the world, we didn't really think about other people's feelings, other people's thoughts. We were sort of an age where we were teenagers, and we were just so wrapped up in our little group. And we didn't mean to do any harm in anything we did. But on some occasions, which is reflected in this book, they do these, what are now, when you look back at it now, are absolutely horrific things. Listeners with children who have done things while they were kids, and they've had children, and their kids have done something, and they've got to really tell them off and discipline them. Right? I didn't use the Nadja word. Did you notice that? It was very good. They probably think to themselves, hang on a minute, I used to do things like this when I was a kid, and I've done even worse or whatever. But
Yeah.
consequences as well. We never, ever thought about consequences. And I think at that particular age, you don't, do you? You think you're immune, don't you?
Absolutely immortal. Yes.
So there are stories in there where we would literally get together, put our any pocket money or little job things that we did, and we put the money in into this kitty, right? And two people would go out and buy stupid amounts of fireworks, and because we had so much, I mean, the garden looked like the Somme, but because we had so much of this, we would gut them. I mean, whatever you do, right? It's
Don't
probably
do
all
this.
adults listening, but don't ever do this. But
Ever.
we would gut these fireworks and do stupid things like ram them down metal pipes, because we realised that if you packed it down in the right way, once that energy is released, if you've got it right, anything that's holding that isn't going to be it's going to turn into shrapnel.
Do you still have two thumbs and four fingers?
This is the point of consequence. I mean, all the things that we did, all the terrible things that we did with explosives, which were readily available in shops. Consequences. I mean, we set light to fires. We set light to fires. That doesn't make any sense. We set light to fences, and had to rush and put them out. Some people just wanted to watch them burn. I mean, it's terrible. We would rush out and get hoses and all this kind of stuff, and and we blow things up in garages and stuff like that, and
it all revolves. It revolves round one particular family, doesn't it?
It revolves
many, but one
quite a few families. But it starts off with the Belkin family. The father, Kenneth, is what should we say? He's an elderly gentleman who's had children late in life, and
quite eccentric.
Yeah, very eccentric. In fact, he's totally instilled around the 1840s. So, like, he feels like anything after the 1840s is an absolute sin against, God, really. So he's got this very Victorian attitude, and he joined the Navy. And that just sort of instilled his anal disciplines, really, with and he just absolutely lapped up all the discipline that he had to show for that. And then so he meets Pamela in the laundrette because he likes to get things starched on a regular basis as per regulation, and he meets and falls in love with the then young Pamela, and they just get on with life, as a happy married couple until the age of 47, and Pamela becomes unexpectedly pregnant, and then which completely destroys any instilled discipline within either of them, and then 3 years later another child is born, and so from that day on, Kenneth Belkin, the senior, gives up drink completely and believes that alcohol is a sinful thing. And they give birth to these two children who are absolutely two demons in wrapped up in this little bundle of joy, and all the way through the childhood, they just terrorise their parents.
Because I think we can fairly safe ground to say. I mean, we both knew this man. Very sadly, he's no longer with us, but we do have permission from his son to write the story. We've changed the you know, I say you've changed the names.
Yeah, but you knew the man.
Well, I did. I mean, what used to happen was the son, Richard, as he is in the book, would come down the pub, meet up with us where we were probably drinking when we shouldn't have been, and tell us all the latest things his eccentric father had done. And they really were eccentric. Now, us being a bunch of piss-taking bastards, we just wanted to know more and more and more and more and more. And of course, he would love the attention, so he would come down and feed us more and more. And the guy became a local legend over the things that he'd done. I could just say, thank God YouTube for him didn't exist then.
Yeah, this is the point. This is the point. Now, the whole point is you and I, many moons ago, took a. This is very important actually, because you and I took a week away in Hayling Island. And which meant that we could both kind of relax and I, you know, just get by the coast and just chill out for a bit. And we were discussing that you were hassling me, saying, "You've got to write this. You've got to write this. Right? You've got to do this." And I was doing other things. I was busy with other things. And then we went to that week, and we were sitting in the Lifeboat Garden, having far too many beers. You just had a doctor on. I hope she's not listening. We had far too many beers, and we discussed this story, this thing, and so that it was the ideas were flowing, and you just literally started recording me on your iPhone. And said, "I'm recording this because you can't forget this, John. You've got to remember." So you gave me the recording of me spouting out all this drunken stuff, and I literally wrote it down, and then thought, "Hang on a minute, I can see a story forming here." So what you've got is it's available on audio, so it's an audio book, and it's more of an immersive thing, really. And the idea is you sit there, relax, get into the characters, listen to the sounds, and actually become, you know, as if you're actually there with them. That's the idea. It's
described as a book at bedtime for adults, isn't it?
Yes.
And it is for adults, we stress.
Yes. No. It is for adults, people, but it is written. It is sort of like both written and, I think, narrated in that bedtime manner, because it is a book at bedtime for adults, because and this is the tagline for the book. It goes, "It takes many layers to make the fabric of society. These are the stories of everyday abnormal people whose fabric is getting a right unpicking. And you think you're having a bad day." So that straight away you're going to get a series of people, which I hope the listener or the reader will invest their time into the relationship of these people, because they're going to find that it's all going to go terribly right for some and terribly wrong for others.
To say the least. I'm not going to do any spoilers. You have to listen
we
to
can't
it.
spoil it.
But it's when you're in on the joke and you can see it from all the points of view. It's like anything. If you're in on the joke, it's all very funny. But if you're not, and you don't know what's going on, and your imagination gets going, and of course everyone thinks the worst case scenario, and then it just all goes very wrong. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers away. But I must urge you to have a listen to chapter 1.
Is in on it. We must highlight that you know, you are taken along for a ride, and you know, it's not there. There are some bits and pieces that you find out that there's another plot that goes through it, which is all this is very naughty, very risque, very light, but there is a dark plot going underneath it, and you know, so we do tend to concentrate on the funny stuff, but there is a dark plot underneath it, and it is quite disturbing. But the thing is, there are 2 volumes in the Elgins, and in the first volume, it's really, you do get to know the families, and you get to know their lives, and you get to know them. But all the way underneath all of this normality that you are allowed to witness, through all different generations of all different creeds and backgrounds and everything. They're all living in a community. They're all living together. All their differences are celebrated within this community. So we're very lucky on that. But it has to happen because there is this really horrible, terrible thing in volume 1 that is just under the surface of everything that goes on. And then in volume 2, it unleashes itself with absolutely dire consequences. But the characters that you've met, whether you love them or hate them, all have to come together. And so it's a bit like life, really, isn't it? It's sort of like, you only get the best of humanity when something really terrible has happened. We can't be that amazing bunch of people, those incredibly, full of empathy, full of support and everything that we are when terrible things happen all the time. So you're going to get all of this, and then you're going to get these people that don't get on with each other, can't stand each other for the reasons you'll find out. But they will have to work together if they want to survive.
Wow. So this is the Elgin Marvels, and it's now completed in written form, at least. Next stage is to get it out there. And I do urge you to type in that link, tiny URL, Elgin C1E1. You won't regret it. Listen to it before you go to sleep tonight and take that into your dream state if you dare. Tell us about some other projects that you've written as well, because you mentioned The Last Historian. Now, I know you're very interested in history personally, and you mentioned earlier looking things up to be accurate about things. So, and I also know you're a big Marvel and sci-fi fan. All your interests play into what you write?
Not well, I suppose they must do, really. But the thing is, when I was a kid, and I'm past my 50s, I used to get, and I know this is a bit sad. I don't think it's sad at all. Geek is good. I've still got a big box full of 1970s and 80s American Marvel comics and DC comics, and I think the earliest one, because I've got a few from my brother, so I think I've got a couple of 1970s to 73s, which is rather cool, right? So I would love comics as a kid. And I just want to underline that because obviously everybody's jumping on the movie bandwagon. And I loved the movies because, the first lot of movies that came out with Marvel, because I used to read them as a kid, it was just like, oh my God, now I'm an adult, I can actually see all the stuff that I loved. And I loved the first films up to Avengers Infinity. Don't worry, this is relevant. And because like they actually put bits of comic stories that I'd read as a kid, especially Doctor Strange, and I could visualize it's like watching those little scenes, whether the directors and the writers have put them in deliberately, because anybody could watch it and anybody could enjoy the film. But if you were a kid at that time when that story came out and you read it and you loved it, it was like, oh, it probably didn't have a relevance, but you noticed it and they put it together so beautifully. So yeah, that would have had an influence on what I write, really. But I think there's two things I've always been into: history and science fiction, right? And I just wanted to meld the two together. So I put together The Last Historian, and as I mentioned before, it's what happens 10,000 years after the Earth has scratched.
Right.
Because we use, like, the Earth is almost like a little bit of a character in it, and it's sort of it's kind of had enough, really, of mankind doing what it's done. And despite all the stuff that we've done, and people suddenly realize that, oh, we've got to do something about the planet. In the book, it's a little bit too late, and it's going, no, I've had enough, see you later. So the Earth basically becomes kind of really hostile. Well, not kind of, it does. It becomes incredibly hostile. So the survivors are forced to do just two things, basically. One, right, goes up in the mountains and takes on a society in the mountains. And the others, and this is where the science fiction element comes in, because it's 10,000 years after the whole planet has gone, and we don't join obviously the way humanity sort of re-evolves. We mention it. I would say I mention it in the book, but just to let people know about it. But the actual action takes place where a bunch of archaeologists and historians are desperately trying to put together the past, because the planet is so hostile. You just can't pop out and have a look. So you have to put on all this, so because it's evolved, the planet's evolved. You've got old technology which they've continued to work on. So this is definitely where the science fiction thing comes in. So what they've done is they would take to the seas, only the seas became acidic and they couldn't do that. So lots and lots of very, very clever people and lots of engineers and scientists all got together, and they desperately tried to do something, and they basically put all the cruise ships up in the air. And they became sky ships. And if anybody goes on one of these modern cruises, I believe you've just come back from one. They're basically cities. They're basically cities, aren't they? So the idea was to have this lockdown on the mountains, who are very irascible and irritable, because all the air they breathe is false. It's all manufactured. All their food is manufactured, and nothing's real, nothing's natural, but it's all they've known. And then you've got the sky people up in the sky ships, right, who have raided Kew Gardens, and they've gone down, and their archaeologists and geologists have gone down with all the suits on, the basically die, any kind of suits with air in, that they keep going. This technology is dying, but they keep it going. They just keep it going on and on and on until it's going to fail, which it ultimately will. And that's basically what The Last Historian is about, is meeting a bunch of people from completely different aspects of life, although they're the same species, that have been separate for hundreds of years, and again sort of almost bringing them back together, but sort of very reluctantly, but they have to do it, and what they discover along the way, because they know nothing about humanity, but they do uncover an AI, and the AI has had 10,000 years to evolve, and it hasn't turned bad at all. In fact, this AI knows far much more about humanity than even humanity has ever known about itself. But because this lot don't know anything apart from the books they find in a little library, and that influences them so much that all the characters in the book are named after books and publications that the archaeologists found on one of their digs.
It's very creative. I mean, this is a station about mental health and well-being. Do you find that it contributes to your mental well-being by writing?
Definitely. In the Elgin Marvels, especially in volume 2, the second book, there is a mental health story, very much so, in the fact that
Tell us more.
There's a character called Dr. Eileen Granger, and her husband begins midlife crisis, and the other person, Richard Belkin, who is a late teenager, he's now entering his 20s, is going through those changes. So you see that chapter is called Unbalanced, and you see a middle-aged man and a 20-year-old man literally finding their way in new ways of being. And the middle-aged man gets together with his mates. He has a few health scares, which, because it's, and I think that happens. I mean, it's essential that people get themselves checked out for various things, especially blokes, because blokes put everything off. We all do it, but it's essential you do. And luckily, the man, he's just like us all. He puts everything off. Luckily, he's married to a doctor who does that, and luckily for him, there is nothing there. But it does highlight that, that it's important to keep an eye on stuff. And that. So he's got all this in his mind. He's got all this in his mind and everything like that. And it just makes everything feel so much worse. And he can't understand it. That's a beautiful thing. One day he's feeling normal. He loves his wife. He's got his kids. He's got his job. He loves everything. And then one day he has no idea who he is. But he has to carry on. He has no choice. And so we follow his journey through that. And then Richard Belkin, is beginning to grow up. So we follow that journey in parallel with what's going on.
This is a nice thing because the characters are very real and very relatable and interweaved, and there's quite a lot. There's a real sort of rite of passage vibe about
yes, it is very much so. Very
as well.
Much so.
Not just one rite of passage. We almost see several.
Yes,
all happening at the same time in the same area to
exactly
different people.
It is rites of passage, and you don't have to be young. You don't have to be young to have a rite of passage. You can be of any age and have a rite of passage, and everybody, well, most people in this do, and it explores birth, explores death, explores mental health, and it also explores fun as well, and there are I do take the mickey out of I'm being very careful with my words. I'm very
we can use mild language here, it's okay.
I don't know. No,
you can say take the piss if you want to, it's fine.
Right. Well, it's I like to, there are a lot of, I take the piss out of 70s and 80s cultural references a lot. So if you are of a certain age, I hope that you will find those references funny. If you are not of a certain age, it's kind of explained through the characters.
Well, good luck with all the future projects. That's two we've heard about.
Sorry, the cat just turned up.
There will. Pardon?
The cat just turned up.
Oh, lovely. There's two projects, but I'm sure there will be more. But I urge anyone tuned in, tinyurl.com/Elgin C1E1. Write that down and listen to that tonight, because you will not be disappointed, and you probably will get hooked. And then we'll let you know in the future how to access the rest of the story, because I'm sure, like any good series, it will hook you in, and you're going to want to know more. But good luck with it all, John.
There will be more episodes going up each week.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've all got a bit weird. But yeah, there will be more episodes going each week. But you've got one up there at the moment, and you've got all of chapter 4. 2 is going up there in the next couple of days.
Fantastic. John Patrick, thank you very much indeed. And if people want to get in touch, you're findable on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Just look up John Patrick, and I'm up there. There's a picture of me going like this
on stage,
hundreds of people behind me. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. John, good luck with everything. Thank you very much indeed for being on.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and your listeners. Bye-bye.
You're very welcome. There we go. So, what do you think of my first show? Did I do all right? You're going to tell Uncle Russ that I did well. So, aforementioned Uncle Russ will be here on Friday with Phil Dave and the Screen Queen, Chantal Ricard as well, telling you what's great to watch on TV. There's a couple of really good series on at the moment. I'm watching one called Boat Story. She'll probably talk about that on Friday. She made it, but it started off really kind of film noir, and it's just got really weird now. Anyway, next Wednesday, as I say, we've got some great guests. We're going to be talking to a chap called David Breakspear, who fascinating man. He's served quite a bit of time in prison, reformed man now, and he turned his life around in prison, and now he wants to help other people do the same. So he took what he found in prison out of prison and now helps people in society, which will hopefully stop them having to go to prison in the first place. A very, very erudite and interesting man. So I look forward to talking to him next Wednesday. As I say to you guys, I'm doing the Wednesday show now. If you want to be on, if you think there's somebody we should talk to, any particular topic you'd like me to explore, or any particular tools, techniques, mental health. We will talk more about the parasympathetic nervous system, anything to promote our well-being. Because in this fast-paced world, I think we need that more than anything, and that is the main ethos and focus of this station, which is why Russ set it up all those years ago with the partners, all about men's and women's mental health and well-being. As I say, this might be MRS. There is a WRS, but 50% of the audience here are women, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can get insights into us crazy men and vice versa. But thank you very much indeed for tuning in today. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Take the best of care. As I say, Russ is here Friday with Phil, Dave and Chantal. Me and Russ will be back next Monday. The double act, such as it is, returns. And I'll see you by myself next Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Love you, hug you, squeeze you, and good afternoon. Thank you.